Darkcast Network. Welcome to the dark side of podcasting.
You are listening to Castles and Cryptids, where the castles are haunted and the cryptids are cryptic as fuck. And I'm Alanna.
I'm Kelsey.
And today is a true crime case. A true crime day, should we say. True crime day. So you know it's going to be pretty shad and pretty shitty. Especially because of stalker crimes. Yep. But they definitely deserve to be talked about. Stalker crimes suck. They are shitty things that go on like so much today, as much as they did years ago. But we're just gonna get into it, right? We're just gonna do what we do.
Yeah,
I'm here for. No.
I mean, I know mine's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Mine, yeah. So,
I mean, how could they
buckle
not
up.
be? Yeah. That's the shitty part. I mean, I'll boop boop. Car outside. I'll start us off with a dark fact, which for what I'm sure is going to be a dark episode.
Okay.
Okay, yes, I have my little list of, because it's still October,
Yeah.
but not for much longer when this comes out.
No, just a few more
Nope.
days.
Oh yeah, I guess this is kind of like our pre-Halloween episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do this dark fact. King Charles II, so not to be confused with this one, I guess.
Yeah,
He
I
must
don't follow
he
the royal family, so I don't know what number he is.
yeah. Our current King Charles, I'm sure, is not the one this is about. I just wanted to disclaimer that.
Okay.
It's yeah, I don't believe so. Probably written before that. King Charles II drank alcohol mixed with pulverized human skulls.
Ew.
We didn't do that one, right? No.
No, that's some
Okay.
like mummy powdered like
Ooh,
elixir
yeah.
bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah. Almost alchemy, but just a little grosser. No. A
Yeah.
little bit more like just trying out different potions and stuff. Powders. Yeah, it says that another creepy fact about the English king is that he called his drink the King's Drops, and he incorporated it into his diet with the belief that it promoted good health.
Weird. It's just like, I'm gonna absorb all the calcium out of somebody else's bones.
Right? Put it in here with the lead and also the mercury that they
Yeah.
didn't even call mercury or whatever.
Yeah,
And
that's awful. That's so creepy. I don't like that.
all before germ theory, it's all there's ghosts in your blood, do cocaine about it and bleed you with some
Yes.
leeches and get rid of your bad
Oh,
humors.
yeah,
Yeah.
have some bile. You got the wrong levels of biles.
Yes, because the humors include different types of bile. It's quite gross.
Yeah, it's another
Yeah.
word I hate, bile. Like, nothing
It's
pleasant comes to mind.
no, I always think of the X-Files episode with the Eugene Toombs. He makes a nest and there's bile involved. It's all you need to know. They
Um,
referenced it on a podcast recently and I was like, "Whoa, deep cut." Like people never talk about Eugene Toombs other than me and my freaking sister.
uh, I've
Oh
seen
my god.
some of the first season of X-Files and I didn't really get into it, so I didn't keep watching it, but
I
I
didn't when Ressa first got into it, then I was like, oh, I'm a teenager. This is or like I'm young and this is creepy. It makes me scared to go to the toilet because an alien's gonna poke a syringe in me or something. I don't know. It's just it was creepy for the time.
I don't know. I tried watching it not too long ago, probably within the last 5 years, 5, 6 years. And yeah, I don't know. I have it on my Disney watch list. I might try and get to it eventually, but yeah.
Oh my god, it's on Disney. Wow, that's so funny.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it's on right now.
That seems like such the wrong place for it to be. Like, oh man. Considering how edgy it was, especially at the time, that's just hilarious. But yeah, it was good. I got back into it. I think we rewatched it again, or like I probably rewatched again, like rewatched it again for the first time. That doesn't make sense. I probably like watched it for the first real time right after we had Rain, and then I'm like at
Oh,
home,
okay.
new baby. What are you gonna watch? I had the Friends DVD box set. Pat had bought me that one for
Yeah.
Christmas, so I was like, yeah, that's a good one to rewatch. And
Yeah.
X-Files.
Yeah, two polar opposites.
Totally. And then nowadays you get like seems like 17 million things on Netflix where I'm like, what
Yeah.
do I want to start next? I haven't even watched The Umbrella Academy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should be real these days with all the streaming.
Yeah,
But
between everything, I have so many things I'm watching. Like,
so many things to watch.
yeah.
uh yes, to watch. I'm still reading some different shit, but yeah. I even started listening to The Time Traveler's Wife on audiobook on CD in my car.
I think I skim read that book when I was younger. I don't remember much about it other
Okay,
than
so
I
yeah.
probably wasn't like able to read enough of it at a time to like follow too
Mm,
much. Like there was too many breaks for me to follow the story too well, but
that could be a problem because I did was like, oh, it's an audiobook. I was looking at things at the on the library online so I could be like, oh, order this book to my, local branch or whatever. And then I was like, it's audiobook. Oh, but I can't download it. Oh, because it's like a literal CD audiobook. I was like, all right, I'll put it in my car. I'm like listening to it. I'm like, what the hell is happening? I'm like, does this guy just time travel like randomly? I've never seen the movie. No time travel book I've
yeah.
like read is where they can go back to a point in their own life where it seems like he can just randomly pop in and out where like people know
Yeah.
him, like
It's
freaking
weird.
yeah, and he's like, I don't know who you are yet or whatever, and I'm like,
I
okay, this
remember
is
by the
different.
end, he's like, there's like a party, and he's like popping in and out of the party, and it's like just
Okay.
chaos because,
Yeah, I could see that.
yeah, like he's always the same age because he is time traveling.
Okay.
He's always the same age, but like he's meeting all
Yeah.
these people over the course of like 15-ish maybe years, but he's always the same fucking age. And then
Yeah,
he
it would be so
blips.
weird when people like would be like, "Don't you remember me?" or like whatever.
Yeah, but then he's gone for like 6 months to a year at a time or something, if I'm remembering correctly. Like when he's not there, it's not like another one is there. Like he's literally just not there anymore.
That makes
Like,
sense. Yeah, I have only like started the first chapter or two, but it's like from her
yeah,
perspective, yeah, when he's gone, and it's not easy to be
yeah.
the one waiting for the other one coming back. I'm like,
Just
oh,
fucking blipping in and out like once or twice a year. Be like, fuck you.
yeah. Yeah, a little different than your spouse is even just in the military. At least you know where they are when they're gone on tour for 6 months.
Right? Yeah, fuck.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Anyway, we're not going to ramble too long this time because we do that beforehand and sometimes on
Yeah.
Patreon. And if you want us to, we will more. But otherwise, I want to hear Kelsey's stories so we can crack into it.
Mine's a pretty tough one. There is some
Yeah.
stuff online, kind of, I won't say contradictory stuff about what happened, but I just say overall there is some speculation about whether or not this case did happen or if it was maybe there was mental health problems that were going on that led this person to believe that they were being stalked. Um,
Oh,
and there's also stuff that
interesting.
like they may have done themselves. Like they may have been causing these incidents or whatever themselves. So I'm just gonna say that if it's true that they were being stalked, it's absolutely insane. But if it's also
Oh.
true that they were doing this themselves, it's equally absolutely insane. Because
That
it's a
actually sounds
pretty,
familiar, but okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
And great. It also sounds very like it's gonna be, yeah, very, very heavy, unfortunately, and very shitty, but
yeah, it's pretty wild.
okay.
This case
Alright.
I first heard about on Bailey Sarian's channel. I think she entitled it like
Oh.
The Original Invisible Man or The Real Invisible Man.
Ooh, nice title.
Uh, yeah, and that's what clicked me because she did it sort of around the time the Invisible Man movie came out.
Oh,
Um,
this the recent remake in 2021 or 2 or whatever.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
That wasn't
yeah,
bad.
so
I
it was
like
like,
that one.
yeah, so it's like all creepy, like the guy with that camera bodysuit kind of thing, and then she's talking about this case, and yeah, it was pretty wild. I remembered it being pretty crazy. I don't know if I necessarily remember everything I ended up reading about her talking about in the video,
Oh.
but yeah, I got pretty well all my information. Hold on, I want to get they had a fantastic write up. If you want to learn more, it was morbidcuriosity.com is basically where I got all my information because they had the best written thing uh, that I
Oh.
read in any of it. Yeah, it was really thorough, probably at least 30 or 40 pages long. It was pretty insane. I condensed as much as I could. Um,
It's the freaking New York Times.
yeah, and there will be some pictures on the drive. The pictures are also from their website. It
Mm.
looks like they do some other topics, not all just true crime, but it was pretty cool
Oh.
their site. So kudos to them because an insane amount of work I'm sure was
Oh,
put
love
into
that.
this write up for this case.
Yeah, love a
Um,
detailed article.
yeah. So this is uh it's basically called like Cindy James. That's the victim's name. She was
Okay.
born actually Cynthia Elizabeth James, which I love the name
Mm.
Cynthia. Let's bring Cynthia back. That's so cute.
Yes. I have a
So
friend named Cynthia. Yeah.
nice. And
Yeah, because you can
Cindy. Bring back
exactly,
Cindy.
yeah, you can go by a few different things. Sin, whatever.
Yeah. And she was born on June 12th, 1944. Her dad was Otto Hack.
Oh.
And yeah,
Nice.
he was an English teacher and a retired colonel in the Royal Canadian Air Force. Not the Air Force, but the Air Force.
Yeah,
And,
that's right. That's why it sounds funny.
right? We just talked about that last week, I think. Uh, and then it was like Royal Canadian Air Force. I was like, I'm typing it.
Right,
Um,
right, right. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so yeah, like the yep, okay. Gotcha.
her mom also has a really cute name. It was Matilda, but they called her Tilly, which
Mm,
I love. That's so
I think that's
cute.
Gordon Ramsay's daughter's name. Yeah. Yeah, that is cute.
Oh, cute. Yeah. And she was like a homemaker, stay-at-home mom. The family, it said we're like descendant from Russians. I don't know how much, but they had like Russian ancestry and big family. Cindy was one of six kids, and she had two younger sisters and three older brothers.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And Otto's work in the Air Force had the family spending a lot of their times in living in Ottawa, Canada. So this is a Canadian case. It kind of spans Canada, and then mostly BC, I think, is where the stalking occurred, was actually in BC.
Oh, wow.
And
okay, the 6
yeah.
kids and then the Ottawa, it makes, oh yeah. Because like my aunt and uncle had like 6 kids, and then like they were based in Ottawa for quite a long time, most of the family. It just was like, oh,
Okay.
this is really hitting close to home there, Kelsey. Also, my cousin just had a little baby girl. Her name is Lila Rose. I was like, oh, that's so pretty.
That's cute. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
So Cindy later said in some journals that she kept that her dad was pretty strict, like very strict, and he believed in corporal punishment.
Oh.
And she said that this characterized her youth. So it must be like have happened pretty frequently.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And once Cindy was an adult, she had decided to become a nurse, which is amazing. So she enrolled in nursing school in Vancouver in 1962 at the age of 18. And she went back and forth as much as she could, kind of visiting her family. And eventually her family ended up relocating to France when Otto re-enlisted in the Air Force. So I think it was like the Canadian Air Force. He gets posted to France, so the younger kids in the family and the mom all moved to France, it seems, when Cindy's around 18, maybe a little bit older than that.
Okay.
And multiple times Cindy mentioned this unknown intern that she had met while studying, and these different letters she had sent back to her family. These were kind of like, there isn't a lot of information about this. It says that she said that the couple had become engaged for a time before he had found out he had some sort of terminal disease. And then she told her family in letters that this guy had killed himself while the couple were on a skiing trip.
Oh.
But it's weird because Cindy never even mentioned this guy's name, but they were like engaged supposedly, and then he kills himself while they're on holidays, but she never tells the family this guy's name, and no one in her family had ever even met him. So yeah,
that is interesting. Not sure
it's
what to make of it. Yeah.
But the main guy we cover here, that she ends up marrying, is this guy named Roy Makepeace, and he was a South African psychiatrist, and he was 18 years older than her, and they met in the summer of 1965. And
the summer of 65. Okay.
I know, it's like it doesn't have the same ring to it. I did the same thing when I was typing up my notes. I was like, the summer of 65.
The free love was starting to brew. It was.
I don't think Roy Makepeace himself is South African. He doesn't look it in pictures, but doesn't mean maybe he wasn't born in South Africa. But
the last name to me sounds more indigenous to Canada, like First Nations.
Yeah, I couldn't tell because like the pictures are older. It's all like, other than pictures I found of Cindy later on, I think everything was in black and white for pictures I saw of Roy. But yeah. But he was a psychiatrist there, and in December of 1966, Cindy earned her BSN from nursing school, and the pair ended up getting married. And because of the couple's age gap, her parents had some doubts. They sort of believed that he was taking advantage of Cindy's naivete and gullibility.
Ooh.
So, yeah,
love
they
that
didn't
word.
love
Hard
it.
to pronounce.
Yeah, naivete.
I mean, fair enough. Like,
yeah,
there always could be, even if there isn't an age gap. Like, so yeah, it's always good to be looking out for your kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And although Makepeace was a doctor in South Africa, he wasn't able to get the same license in Canada, so he wasn't able
Mm.
to like practice here. And he instead, it seemed like he accepted, or, like was offered and accepted a position as an assistant professor in the Faculty of Medicine at the University of BC. So he had to be like pretty
Okay.
accomplished, I think, for them to offer something like that to him. So
Well,
like that was pretty
yeah.
good. I don't think they
It
offer that
sounds
to just
good.
anybody.
Yeah.
Um, her relatives later said that their marriage was pretty strained and they often seemed to be emotionally distant from one another. And
Okay.
Cindy later accused Makepeace of marital violence. Makepeace himself's reply, I guess, was saying that he only slapped her twice during their marriage,
Oh,
which, yeah.
nice.
Yeah, only
Not
twice. I mean,
not something to be proud of, no.
yeah, right?
And
But it was the
eh,
60s. Like, but
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. But and it's like it doesn't have to be slaps or even anything physical to
Yeah,
be like emotionally
exactly.
abusive. Yeah, exactly. Ugh, that sucks. He sounds like he was kind of shitty.
Yeah, like it seems like he does fairly okay later on, but there's some weird stuff. I don't know. So from
Yeah.
1966 to 1975, Cindy worked as a pediatric nurse at Vancouver General Hospital. It said that
General Hospital.
Makepeace had previously worked there in some
Oh.
position. I don't really know how because it said he couldn't get a license in Canada. So I don't really understand how it said that he had previously worked at this Vancouver General Hospital. I don't know.
Right, but then he got a pretty good position in something medical, you just said. Oh,
Yeah, but that was
I
at the
forget.
University of like BC. That wouldn't
Mm,
be have to do with the general hospital.
right,
Yeah, I
more
don't
of a
really
like
know.
teaching
Yeah,
sort of deal, maybe. Okay.
yeah. Starting in 1975, Cindy spent the next 12 years working as a team coordinator at a center that helped kids with behavioral problems.
Aw.
Yeah, it was kind of like a, not really like a shelter, but kind of that idea. Um, Kind of thing.
Okay.
So just helping kids and probably like numerous capacities. And her coworkers commended her expertise and professionalism at work. So everybody seemed to really like her.
Aw, that's
Yeah.
nice.
So getting into the stalking and like incidents that happened, I kind of broke it up into like 2 or 3 year periods to try and keep everything straight because it's so much.
Oh my
Um,
God. Okay.
yeah. So it all starts in September of 1982, just 4 months after Cindy and Makepeace end up getting divorced, which
Um,
also seems kind of strange. Yeah. Cindy
hmm.
started being harassed for basically the next 7 years. I won't sugarcoat it. It's crazy. During which she reports more than 90 instances of illegal conduct to the RCMP, and these include, but not limited to, home invasions, physical assaults, stalking, vandalism, arson, harassment, and intimidation. And these are all committed by unidentified person or persons. So they've never actually figured out who was doing this, if there was, in fact, somebody doing it to her. You've never figured it out.
No.
Yeah, but it's
Don't like
crazy.
that. That
Yeah.
sucks.
So it all starts with like these phone calls, it seems like. Typically they involve a person on the other line, like breathing heavily, and sometimes the phone calls are silent, and later on they become what was described as like sexually obscene and also very threatening. There's
Oh.
like later on there her and Makepeace and even her coworkers and like her friends sometimes are the ones that answer the phone because she gets so
Yeah.
many of these calls that they start, sometimes they're able to record them. And
Okay.
so I do have like little quotes of what some of them are. It's pretty bad, like what they were saying.
Okay.
uh yeah,
Yeah.
so they record these by some of the family members. Shortly after the phone calls start, her porch lights end up being broken during the night, and she has several break-ins after somebody goes through and like smashes different windows. The first time it happens, nothing in her house is touched or like moved. And then the second time it happens, I think it was just a few days later, the intruder like slashed her bedroom pillows, like on her bed with a knife.
Oh, you.
Yeah.
Yuck.
And then police at this time, because like Cindy had started reporting these, they believed Makepeace may be involved.
Mm-hmm.
And Cindy ended up giving contradictory accounts about him to the RCMP, different times stating that she didn't believe that he could, like, she described it as torture her like this because these phone calls were happening like sometimes multiple times a day. It was pretty crazy.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like she was describing it kind of like, I don't believe he would torture me like this, but also telling friends and coworkers that he had been severely abusive towards her. So kind of like,
Okay. So like, yeah, she doesn't really
yeah,
know it's not him.
yeah, kind of two different like things she's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then the next thing that starts happening multiple times, her basement tenants, because she has these renters that live in the basement, they report hearing these strange noises coming from upstairs when Cindy is supposed to be at work. And they say like
Oh.
it's weird noises. It doesn't sound like her normally moving around. And while neighbors report, or other neighbors report seeing a man several times, he's seen hanging inside, like hanging out in Cindy's front yard, and even using her side gate to get into the backyard. Um, these witnesses did state that the this man that they saw on multiple times was definitely not Makepeace. Like in no way looked like him at all.
Oh,
So
okay. Weird.
yeah. Around this time, Cindy began dating actually one of the RCMP officers that it seemed like was assigned to her case that she was like filing reports
Oh.
with. Yeah, he seems like a really good guy. His name's Patrick McBride. Um, they
Aw.
kind of reach an agreement, and fairly soon after dating, he agrees to move in for like a couple weeks, like about 2 weeks, and kind of like just stay at the house with her because she's so worried because things seem to be escalating.
Yeah.
And
And if you're just
yeah,
first starting dating, sometimes you're kind of almost staying over for a while without even really meaning to.
yeah.
You can.
So he ends up having his own fair share of experiences while staying over at the house, including a bunch of these strange phone calls. It says that when
Mm.
he picks up, they never talk because when he answers the phone and they hear it's a guy, they never say anything. It's always the silent
Yeah.
breathing phone calls. And only when like Cindy or a
Yeah.
woman picks up do they end up like saying something. Yeah.
Damn. Annoying.
Yeah. So McBride and Makepeace end up reaching a sort of understanding, and together they tried to keep Cindy safe. However, things were continuing to escalate. McBride also finds the phone wires cut. It said in 5 different areas of the outside of the house. So, like, she's having her
Oh.
phone lines cut, which happens multiple other times. It's like creepy.
Yeah, damn.
um just before Christmas 1982, so it's only been a few months since this all started. Cindy received a note that read Merry Christmas and had a stained red photograph of a woman with her throat slit. um
Oh dear.
yeah, yeah, she starts receiving a bunch of notes. It's like really creepy. There's pictures of some
Oh
of
yeah.
them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. By late January of 1983, Agnes Woodcock, a friend and coworker of Cindy's, ends up visiting her at home, and this is where things really escalate. This Agnes, she finds Cindy asleep in her backyard with a nylon stocking tied around her neck. And when Cindy like comes to, because she's unconscious when they find her, she tells Agnes that she had been attacked from behind while walking to her garage, and she remembers being taken into her garage where she said another man was waiting, and the two men together strangled her.
Ugh.
Yeah, this one gets
So,
worse.
well, that's like, okay, yeah, that's pretty serious
Yeah.
for someone to fake, especially if you're gonna, think about it in that perspective. So yeah, it's definitely very scary.
Yeah.
But
Um,
scarier to think that people aren't gonna believe you either, I think, is the
right?
horrifying part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She says in this that one of the men stabbed her in the vagina. I don't know if it was a knife or something.
Oh my
And they
God.
threatened to kill her younger sister Melanie if she told anybody about the attack. But like that kind of confuses me because she gets checked out by a doctor when this happens. Like a medical
Mm-hmm.
doctor examines her physically and they find no evidence of sexual assault. And they don't mention
Okay.
anything about her bearing stab wounds to her vagina. So I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
Um they do say that one of the detectives that like investigated this attack didn't believe Cindy at all about what happened. Um it's also kind of confusing to me because if Melanie is her younger sister, then probably at this point Melanie's living in France and would not be in BC. So like how would this person be threatening to kill her younger sister Melanie? Like how would they even know Melanie? Kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't
I don't
know.
know. That those parts are just a little strange to me, I guess. Um yeah.
Okay.
Cindy was asked by police to actually see a psychiatrist, but she refused out of fear that she would be stigmatized, and instead she agreed to see this general practitioner that had experience with counseling. So I think
Okay.
she does that for a little while. It didn't really say much about that instance of her like having this like counseling.
Yeah, I mean,
Um
they can't say much, right? If they're your
Yeah, some of
private,
them later
confidential. Yeah.
give like accounts as to what, because after she had like died, there was like inquiries and everything. So yeah, like a
Okay.
spoiler alert, she dies.
I
Um,
figured.
yeah,
But yeah, I do think I may have heard this one once.
yeah,
Yeah, it sounds very tough
it's pretty
because,
creepy.
yeah, you don't want to disbelieve any possible victim ever, but you can't always necessarily take every person at their word either.
Yeah,
Is the thing. Yeah. But
uh,
sounds rough. To me it sounds you'd
yeah,
have to like a lot to go through to stage something, in my opinion, I
yes, like
guess.
it's
Yeah.
excessive and it just gets worse. Like
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Right.
like I said, either way, it's absolutely insane. Either way.
Right.
Um, in early 1983, Cindy moved, trying to escape her stalker. But less than a week after moving, she received a different letter saying, "Run, rabbit, run, and I'll prove to you just how talented I am. Boom, bang,
Oh,
you're dead in a flash." Which
but
is
I like
weird.
that song though. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, no. Oh, I don't
Um,
love that.
yeah. Don't
Mm-hmm.
like. She ended up moving again just a few months later after getting another wave of these pornographic phone calls.
Oh.
Um, she ends up taking a brief trip to visit her brother. I can't remember where it said he was stationed.
Mm.
Somewhere overseas. Like she's completely out of North America.
Okay.
And Makepeace had paid for this trip for her to like kind of get away, go visit your brother because he was stationed somewhere. I think some type in the military. It didn't say what branch or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And Cindy ends up, when she comes home, it's to another note saying welcome back, death, blood, hate, etc.
That's just lazy.
Yeah, it's like etc. dot dot dot. Um So
murder something.
yeah, scary.
What is the line when they? I was just listening to something covering the Mothman the other day, and it's like that line when they see it. Couple sees a thing in the sky, a bird, a plane, something, something like that.
Oh, I
Remember
think I remember that.
you
Yeah.
covered it, I think.
I can't remember the headline. It's so
Yeah,
long ago.
yeah, but it gives me kind of those vibes of like Superman look up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a
Yeah.
plane. Yeah, it's that kind of vibes. Yeah.
So in an effort to hide her identity, Cindy ends up having her car repainted, and she hires a
Mm,
private investigator to try and find her stalker. This private
okay.
investigator was named Ozzy Caban, and he ends up being on Cindy's payroll for like the next 6 years, and which is a long time. He notes that she takes extraordinary precautions to try and safeguard herself, not limited to wearing a portable emergency button and then carrying like pepper spray and pepper oil with her at all times.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, um,
Hmm.
between this one's bad. This one's animal cruelty. Will be in the next.
Oh
It
no.
happens a few times, but
We didn't even
between
get a trigger warning on the vagina stabbing, so now I'm really worried.
well,
Okay.
I mean, true crime. It's a
Right? I
stabbing.
know. I know. Sometimes you're just like in the you're right. You're like just hit me with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But between October and November of 1983, Cindy finds at 3 different times these rope bound strangled kittens, like they're corpses of kittens in her back garden
Oh.
in her yard. Um, it was weird
Wow.
because it said that Cindy in her journals blamed Makepeace on ruining her garden. I don't know if that was implying he caused the kitten corpses, but he had ruined her garden in her mind. That's what she was complaining about when this happened, was that her garden was ruined and Makepeace had done it.
Yeah, all that
And
is really minimizing the animal cruelty. It's all like,
yeah,
oh yeah,
yeah,
besides the kitten death. Like what? That's not
yeah.
cool. Wow.
During this time, her coworkers are receiving these phone calls, so she's being called like at work now, for these
Oh.
terrible and like obscene phone calls. They're coming into her work phones now, and her coworkers sometimes are the ones that are picking up and answering. So this is when they're kind of starting to record them when they can. Um,
Yeah.
that private investigator Caban, he ends up giving Cindy a two-way radio, and this was a really good idea because he ends up hearing some noises from the radio and decides to visit her home, and he finds her asleep on the living room floor with this was a weird it's a note pinned through her hand with a paring knife. So like the note is stabbed
Oh.
like through, but the knife is also through her hand. So it's stabbing the note to her hand with a knife. Um,
God, what is this, a freaking like play? Like
yeah,
that seems like so intentional for one thing, but like
yeah.
I don't know, almost poetic, very deliberate. I don't know. Weird.
The note reads, "Now you must die," and then it's like asterisk note, but they left the C, so I'm pretty sure it's supposed to say like cunt. But
Oh, okay.
yes, instead
See
of,
you
I'm pretty
next
sure,
Tuesday.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
yeah, but it's written in letters that were
naughty.
ripped and pasted from a magazine.
Oh,
Um,
classic fucking
yeah, there's a
ransom note
few of
style.
them that are like this. It's a little, I was like, oh. Um,
Wow.
Cindy says that from this attack, that she remembers a man entering the property through the gate before he attacks her and hits her on the head with something. She said that she was struck with a needle, and doctors confirmed that she did have needle marks on her arm, but toxicology reports that they tried to do couldn't detect any form of drugs in her system.
Really?
So,
Okay.
yeah, like whatever they were testing for, nothing showed up.
That's what I was just wondering. Like, what
Yeah.
specifically were they looking for?
I don't
Like,
know.
hmm.
But
Like,
they
just,
found her, like,
yeah, if it was like above and beyond the normal testing, whatever.
yeah, like
Yeah.
they found her unconscious. So I think anything that could knock you unconscious or anything like that.
And yeah, because this is like pretty recently too, right? If I remember.
Um, this is 1983, so
Okay,
40
so
years
like
ago.
shut up. I was born in 88. No, but yeah, it's like at least like the technology is not drastically
No.
changed. Yeah, okay. In some ways anyway. In the true crime world anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Cindy ends up undergoing these polygraph testing. It
Okay.
all is said to come back inconclusive, and
I
then
mean, polygraphs,
yeah,
right? Am I
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Experts also said that the blood that they found on the kitchen floor where Cindy was found was kind of on the floor in circular patterns, like maybe someone had been trying to clean it up. Which,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then during this time, they really thought like Makepeace was somehow involved, so they're really putting more pressure on him. They interviewed him a bunch of times. He was trying to say
Okay.
that it was her work at the juvenile house that was causing it, or that it was related to the mafia somehow, which
Oh,
seems
okay.
weird. Yeah.
I'm just not
Um,
seeing the basis for it, I guess.
it's the
Yeah.
mafia. It's the 80s. It's got to be the fucking mafia, right?
Okay.
Um, so uh next thing now, like her dog ends up getting attacked and found by Kaban. I think the dog survives though. Like it says that
Oh,
he found the dog along with a letter saying happy birthday next to some graphic pictures. And Kaban noted that the dog was tied with the same rope as it had been tied around the cats, and that a
oh
cigarette butt
no.
was found by the dog, but that this cigarette was not the brand that Cindy smoked. So
And
like
the
they
dog was
didn't think it's her.
alive?
As far as
Sorry,
I
I
can tell,
just
because they don't say the dog is dead.
uh,
So
I'm just
um
very hung up on this point, even though
yeah.
many people die in these cases. I get it. It's just it always
Um
sucks when it's the freaking pet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kaban, he also said he believed it was unlikely that Cindy had done this, or like because she wouldn't have been able to abuse her dog in the way that it was found.
Right.
Like whatever had happened, they don't really go into details. But
Oh.
my assumption based on what they said about the cats was that the dog had lived because they didn't say the dog was dead. It's kind of how I interpreted it.
Yeah. I mean, I think we should go with that.
Yeah.
Either way.
The next thing that happens is on July 1st, 1984, these two men show up at Cindy's house and they say that, or they show up at the house pretending to be police officers. And
Ooh. Naughty.
yeah, so she figures out probably they aren't police officers because about this time, like,
Mm,
she probably has good in with the police. She's reported like dozens of incidents. She probably knows a lot of the
yeah.
officers. So she ends up radioing Kaban that like these people are pretending, and after that happens, they leave. After she radios for him to come to the house, and a
Okay.
yeah. The next thing that happens is a few days later, while Cindy's mother is staying with her, The windows, I think on the main floor or maybe the basement, end up getting smashed again. And it happens like
Oh.
twice. Well, her mom is staying with her. And I think her mom's only there for like a week.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
That's expensive.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like all the smashed windows. It's pretty insane. So 2 weeks after that happens, Cindy is attacked again. This time while she's walking her dog at like 8:30 at night, through this
Ah,
park. Yeah.
that's so scary. With your dog?
Yeah.
Ugh.
She is found trying to enter a neighbor's house later that night, like hours later.
Oh.
Which was kind of weird. It was described she was trying to break into their house, and she had a stocking tied around her neck. The doctors who treated her again found puncture wounds on her right arm.
Oh my God, it's a
So
different kind
much.
of stalking crimes. I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. That is so
Yeah.
weird though. Like it's just so like you're like this something has have to have happened or else this is like extremely staged almost.
Yeah, like it's
Like
insane.
yeah, weird.
Um Cindy received continued to receive phone calls, none of them ever long enough to trace. Like police could never trace them. They're only ever a few seconds long. At
Yeah.
one point, I don't think I kept it. Um, that McBride, the cop that she was dating their first year, um, yeah, they were dating for like almost a year around like
Okay.
first when it first started happening. He had kind of figured out because in one of the calls he could hear like some sort of overhead announcing system. So for some reason he thought
Oh.
the calls were coming from like maybe a payphone at an airport or something. Which,
Huh.
yeah, because he could hear a woman on like a PA system in the background.
Okay.
Um,
That sounded like
yeah,
the airport, maybe. Hmm. All right.
yeah, um, yeah. Throw it out there. Doesn't really get talked about. So the next set of
Okay.
years from 1985 to 1987, starting right off in January 1985, Cindy underwent hypnotherapy where she just, I'm gonna say like bizarrely, it seems to not fit at all with the rest of this case. She claims that she witnessed Makepeace kill a man and a woman while the couple were on vacation. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, so she says she witnessed Makepeace kill the couple. Makepeace obviously denies this, and then she tells the
Yeah.
police like, "Yeah, we were staying in this cabin." And I think it said later that they were able to confirm the location of the cabin, but confirm anything else, and were never able to locate these victims or even any potential victims that may be like missing persons or anything in the area.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So it's uncorroborated as such.
Yeah. But she just during
Okay.
hypnotherapy is like, I saw Makepeace kill these people. And it's like, okay.
Hmm.
Um
Sometimes that hypnotherapy and whatever, though, their aggressions could be pretty spot on. Oh, I really wanted
yeah.
to watch that movie with. I was. I wanted to rewatch The Fourth Kind. I think it's really creepy. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it kind of has people like going through the hypno sessions and then remembering things where they're like almost remember being like abducted and stuff. It's yeah, it's creepy because it's based on like true events. And then I was like,
Yeah.
maybe we should. Maybe I'm glad Rain wasn't available to watch this when we wanted to watch it again because maybe this was a little too scary for her. It's pretty fucking creepy. Um,
I I don't even
yeah.
know if I ended up
Oh,
finishing that movie, to be honest. I don't know. I was doing something else and it wasn't catching my interest, so I don't know if I even finished watching it.
it's kind of like one that I feel like yeah, it needs a rewatch because like
Yeah.
they do because they cut between real footage and other stuff that yeah, it can kind of be
Yeah.
hard to follow or like take you out of it a little, especially I'm like yeah, certain things I'm like, oh yeah, this is, I get distracted easy, so this will be, but yeah, then when you rewatch it, it's like, oh shit, yeah, this is fucking pretty disturbing. But anyway, anyway. We'll talk about that on our aliens one or whatever.
So next, I don't think it's too much long after this like hypnotherapy thing. Definitely the first part of 1985, the first few months. Cindy ends up attempting to overdose on prescription pills, and
Oh no.
afterwards she's committed to a mental ward. She claims that she had no intention of dying. And yeah, I think it's over
Okay.
like them not really like believing or being able to corroborate this story that she told them about Makepeace killing this couple, because it said that while she's in the mental ward, she allows police to listen in on a call between her and Makepeace where she accuses him of the murder. He calls her crazy and says that she's engaging in an enormous revenge fantasy against him.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And after the phone call, police end up monitoring both Cindy and Makepeace. And it also said a couple other people, but it didn't specify who. So I don't really know who else they monitored. But they monitored at least Cindy and Makepeace around the clock for the next week. And then nothing happens in this time, and the surveillance is stopped. Yeah. Early in July 1985, this charcoal colored nylon stocking and a message that said blood flowing freely was delivered to Cindy's house. Later on in July, said a few weeks later, she discovered rotting raw meat from a tiny animal that was inside of a cosmetics container on her front porch.
Ew.
Which is, yeah, that sounds gross.
Yeah. No, thank you.
August 5th, Cindy calls to report a fire at her house. Investigators discover burned newspaper pieces throughout the room. Cindy later reports a second fire. Didn't give details about the second fire. But then a few weeks later, on August 21st, Cindy calls to report a third fire, this time in the basement bathroom. And when firefighters arrive, they find her and that private investigator, Caban, and they're arguing over Cindy taking her dog for a walk at 3 a.m. and then coming back to find the house, like the basement on fire, or at least that room on fire.
After taking your dog for a walk at 3 a.m.? Well, that's a little odd. Not.
Yeah.
Definitely nowhere in the realm of the normal hours.
No, and I mean, last time it mentioned she took her dog out for a walk, she got attacked, so I don't know if I'd be taking my dog out for a walk at 3 a.m., but...
Right, and either way, like, whether you take him in the morning, like, especially most people work, so they have to either take them before work or after work or whatever. And even our dog, Pat, doesn't work, but he'll take him every day at a certain time. Like, he'll take him before noon, typically around like 10:30ish, because in the summer it gets so hot, and Fen has such a thick coat, being an Akita, that like you don't want to take him out when it's like 11:30. So if it gets to 11 and Pat's still busy doing something, like, the dog will just be all over him. I'm gonna sit right on your foot until you remember I'm here, and then I want to go for my walk. Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they kind of investigated this third fire. It said that they found the same newspaper pieces around the room as had the first fire. And it said later a detective who investigated the fire stated that he thought Cindy had set it herself. Yeah.
Okay.
That was like his findings. And he was like the fire investigator, I guess.
All right.
So again with this, like, they're kind of leaning towards like Cindy doing this herself. So Cindy is once again asked by the RCMP to see a psychologist. It seems like she agrees this time because it said the psychologist later says that he believes Cindy is making up or planning out all of the attacks herself. That's what the psychologist said after meeting with her several times. Over
nice
like
words for the psychologist to use, especially when they're supposed to keep
yeah.
patient confidentiality.
Well, this is all like after she died because they're doing the
Yeah,
inquest.
I
So
still don't love it. I don't love it. I will say that. It just seems a little insensitive. I don't know.
because they were trying to
But
like determine there was like a jury and everything, so they had
mhm.
like 4 or 5 psychologists or
Oh, okay.
psychiatrists that ended up giving testimony. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Some cases, right? They end up the
Yeah.
war of the experts and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's good to
Um
know though.
yeah. So after all this, like these fires end up happening, it seems that Cindy moves to a new home in Richmond on December 1st. And
Okay.
not a lot of details. Or actually, there is a little bit more. This attack was seemed kind of bizarre to me. So she was discovered by passing vehicles in a ditch around 6 kilometers from her home, close to the
Oh.
University of BC campus. And then 10 days later, on December 11th, at around 6 p.m., a nylon stocking was firmly fastened around her neck, and she was sporting a single glove and a pair of men's work boots. Cindy was brought to a nearby hospital with hypothermia due to the bitter cold, and it was thought that she had been given a tranquilizer injection. She also had several cuts and bruises on her body, and her last memory before the attack is going to have lunch during her work, like lunch break at work, and then stopping at a nearby pharmacy. And then she's found at like 6 p.m.
Right. She
Like,
decided to stop off and give
yeah,
herself
like
some
during
other
her,
tranquilizers and just leave herself in a forest for some hours for funsies.
yeah, in a
Okay.
ditch. Like, yeah,
Sounds
weird.
normal.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Um, yeah, 1986, Cindy tries more to hide her identity. So this time
Okay.
she legally changes her last name from Makepeace back to James, her maiden name. And
Okay. Yeah.
it seems she starts rotating between friends, trying to get them to stay at the house with her for like kind of a few days at a time each. And
Aw.
well,
Yeah.
her friends Agnes and Tom, I think those were the Woodcocks. Well, they're over. They end up finding another fire in the basement, and when they try and call um, for like firefighters or anything, they actually find that the phone is dead. When they try and call
Oh,
the fire
for
department,
God's sakes. Is this
so
a
I think
horror movie?
right, I think her phone lines had been cut again, and Tom ends up
Oh my
running
God.
to the neighbor's house to call, and when he goes outside to get to the neighbor's house, he sees a man standing outside of the house watching it.
Oh, for
And
fuck's sakes, really?
um it said when he like kind of makes to like approach this man, the guy ends up running away. So he was like standing in the yard like watching the house.
Can you imagine how pissed the murderers and shit were when like cell phones came out and you couldn't just go
Yeah.
cut someone's like fucking landlines?
Fucking yeah.
Oh, that had to have been just, the talk of the year at the murderers convention.
Yeah. um so Cindy's mental health ends up declining quite a bit after this latest fire. It said that she eats less and expresses that she feels her existence is no longer worthwhile,
Ugh.
which broke my heart. That's such a sad thing to hear somebody say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's that's sad. I guess regardless of what you believe she
Yeah.
was she was believing or whatever. Yeah.
So at this time, like whatever psychiatrist she's seeing, they become concerned for her safety, and she ends up getting committed for 2 weeks, where she is diagnosed with anorexia and depression.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, it seems like they were trying to treat her for that because afterwards, after this 2 week stay, she's sent to a different hospital to undergo more thorough psychological evaluation. Um, it said this evaluation, all it really said was that she was described as far above average intelligence, but also with erratic moods and pessimism. So I guess she was pretty pessimistic. There was like a whole write up. It was like an entire page long quote that this person did. But those were kind of my key takeaways, that they thought she had above average intelligence, did suffer from like erratic moods, and was pretty pessimistic. Yeah.
I can relate to 2 out of 3 of those on any given day, at
Yeah.
least.
Um
Okay,
they
okay, interesting.
they also described her as the type of person who frequently succumbs to worries. Um
Aw,
Yeah, I didn't really know what to
okay.
take away that meant. But she was there for quite a
Hmm,
while. She ended up getting released after being there for 10 weeks. So she was like
okay.
between the two hospitals, that was like 12 weeks. So, I
Okay.
mean, yeah.
Wow.
Um, this time, um, this was also seemed kind of out of place. After she's released, Cindy allegedly tells her father that she's withholding information and that she actually knows who her attacker is, but will not identify them. Which I don't
Hmm.
know if that was according to her father. It didn't really say. Just said allegedly.
Okay.
Um, in
Interesting. Yeah.
August 1987, Cindy begins to work in a general hospital, and the same month, her house alarm goes off. And then 3 days after that, her porch lights come loose. So I think they were like intentionally unscrewed. And
Too bad
then,
she didn't have a ring. There wasn't Ring doorbell cameras then.
yeah, right? So you just get creeped out by videos of people at night going up to your house. Like, fuck,
Yeah, yeah,
nothing
they
more
can be.
unsettling than getting up in the morning and finding a fucking video from 2 a.m. about somebody like going up to your front door. You're like, was I better off not knowing?
True. Sometimes.
Like at least my bedroom faces the back of the house, so there's no way they're creeping in my bedroom, like trying to
Right.
look in windows. Cause oh yeah.
Ignorance is bliss. Would Gordo be
Um
a good guard cat? No.
mm-mm.
Yeah,
Awful.
we
0 out
know.
of 10. He'd be like, will you pet me? Will you feed me?
I'll only
Uh
make a fuss if you're trying to actually podcast.
yeah. Uh it also said, I think this is finishing out 1987, that the basement door is later damaged by a glass cutter. Um, so might have been
Mm.
trying to break in again. Um, Going into the last 2 years, so February of 1988, her windows are, or a window is broken again. Then the next incident it said was October, so like
Oh,
6 months later. Yeah. Um,
right.
Makepeace reports two strange voicemails to his lawyer because he no longer trusts the police. One message saying in a raspy voice, um, oh, sorry, one saying in a raspy voice, more smack, more downers, another grand when we trash the cunt. Cindy dead meat soon. The transaction is over. And
Oh
that's
my
awesome.
God.
Yeah, very bizarre. Like,
Very
um,
callous.
it
Yeah.
didn't say what the other
Dead
voicemail
meat.
said, but that's all it said. The one said.
Wow.
Um,
That's rough.
15, yeah. 15 days later, Cindy is found comatose in her carport. She's once more wearing a black nylon stocking wrapped around her neck, and she had been hogtied. She was also nude from the waist down. Around this time, Robert Chisnall, a mountain climber and expert in knots, was employed by the RCMP to examine the knots on the nylon stocking she had been frequently discovered to be bound with. It's like this seems to be a reoccurring thing, the nylons around her neck.
Right.
Crisnall,
Okay.
the knot expert, concluded that Cindy could not have been would not have been able to tie such knots herself at the time, with like the position she was found in. It would have been impossible for her to tie these knots.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Especially knots around yourself or where.
Yeah. I think, well,
Yeah.
she was
Okay.
hogtied, so it was like behind her back. I think her like wrists and ankles
Yes.
together. Like, yeah, very.
That.
I
Yeah.
assume
You
that'd be
can't.
very difficult.
No, you can't do that. You can't.
Um,
Ugh. Not
I
unless you're
think this.
11 from Stranger Things.
I think I meant to type Richard Johnston, but it says Richard Johnston.
Well, it
A
does sound
life
like, it
in
sounds like the French. It's Richard.
yeah. He's a life insurance salesman that Cindy had actually bought insurance from, and he's the next one that kind of moves into her basement apartment suite. He moves in
Oh.
1989. Around this time, a General Hospital security guard finds a note reading "Soon, Cindy" in cutout letters on the property.
Ew, I think I looked at that one. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
gross.
yeah,
Very stereotypical, like cutout letters.
yeah,
Soon, Cindy.
yeah.
Coming for you.
All
Yeah.
different sizes. It looks very chaotic.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, is this
it
from a movie?
also
Like, yeah.
It
Sorry.
also said that the dew on her windshield also has the word sleep well written in it. So they're like writing on the dew in her windshield.
Okay, yeah, like the mist
Which,
from the shower kind of thing.
yeah. It said that like
Oh.
the dew on her windshield had been written with words like multiple times. It's like, okay, don't know
Ugh.
how permanent that is, but okay.
She didn't even see that one that said you're a cunt. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. What am I saying?
Um So with this stuff happening, like she keeps being attacked, so police decide to use these scent dogs after a reported attempted break-in on April 29th, 1989, and again on May 10th, just a few days later. They on May 10th, it seems they're able to follow the scent of an unidentified person over the back of Cindy's fence. So like they had jumped over the fence, and that's when they lost it. I was like, why can't you go
Mm.
around the fence and pick up the trail? I don't know. It doesn't have any more information. Um, yeah.
Great.
It's like, yeah, they followed him through the backyard and over the fence, and then case closed, I guess. Um, yeah. So, Cindy, she ends up actually like disappearing. That's the next thing that happens. So, Cindy was last seen. She had picked up her paycheck from the Richmond General Hospital on May 25th, 1989 at 4 p.m. And a coworker described her as appearing in high spirits and had said that there had been no odd activity at Cindy's home for at least 2 weeks. So, like, with the breaks, I'm sure you kind of let your guard down each time it happens, and then it just happens again. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Cindy was last seen entering a BMO, Bank of Montreal, to deposit her check, and then, pardon me, after that, she was seen. Then she headed to a Safeway to grocery shop. Said she got there around 7:59 p.m. Cindy had made plans for Agnes and Tom Woodcock to come over for the night, and they were gonna, I think, play some like board games and stuff. And then in the morning, the three of them were going to be installing this infrared detecting system as like this upgraded security at the house.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, the Woodcocks showed up at the house around 10 p.m. after they hadn't heard from Cindy yet, and they noticed that her vehicle wasn't in the driveway, which they thought was weird. So they spoke to Richard Johnston, the guy who rented Cindy's basement, and he told them that she had not come home from grocery shopping yet, but like she had been gone for like 2 hours.
Oh, oh
Yeah.
no.
So the couple, they kind of knew that she goes to this specific Safeway. So they end up driving there where she normally shops, and they find her car abandoned. The couple
Oh,
at this point drives directly to the police station and they file a missing persons report. And even though she had only been missing for a few hours, police did end up sending a patrol car to investigate, like pretty quickly, because of the
could,
large number of harassment complaints and everything she had made.
right. Okay.
Yeah, they didn't make them wait the, what, 48 hours or some shit. They acted right away,
Yeah,
which I thought was really good.
it
Um,
is. Yeah, I'm not sure when exactly. That seems to be implied or whatever in like the
yeah,
US especially, but yeah, it doesn't seem like it always has to be 48 hours. Yeah.
no. So they had found the contents when police arrived, like to her car. They find the contents of Cindy's wallet on the ground underneath the car, and they find her groceries and a wrapped birthday present for one of her friend's sons at the scene. I don't know if it was on the ground or maybe in the car.
Oh.
And blood was found inside the car on the driver's side door. So some attack clearly had happened there. Next, police arrived to her house to try and inspect there, but it was clear to them that nothing had happened at the home. Like, nothing had happened there. She had been attacked in the parking lot. And in an effort
Mm-hmm.
to try and locate Cindy, it said that the Canadian Coast Guard conducted River and Gulf of Georgia searches in the area. So they started like immediately
Oh.
combing bodies of water, which I thought was a little unusual.
Okay.
But I mean, I think maybe they're just
Um,
trying to cover their bases.
yeah, good for them.
Um, Another weird thing that happened while Cindy was missing, it said Johnston, because he was a life insurance salesman, he said that he had gotten a call from a man who was claiming to be Cindy's father, and he was asking about her life insurance policy that she had taken out with him. And this was just a few days after she was reported missing. The caller,
Oh.
I think through the receptionist, I don't think they even talked to Johnson. The caller was told that they needed to come into the office and talk in person. Obviously, when they were told that, they like disconnected the call and no follow up was done.
Mm,
And they did
okay.
contact Cindy's father, who denied ever making that phone call. Like he didn't do that phone call.
Really? Hmm.
Yeah.
Who
Um,
who did then? Yeah.
Yeah, like there's some stuff that like even if you say she had planned some of this, there's some like weird stuff that you would like would you really get somebody to like would you have somebody like pay somebody to pretend to be your dad to like call and ask about your insurance? Like it's so weird. Like some of the
Yeah,
stuff
no.
for you to say like
No.
that she's planning this, it would be so weird, I think, to
No.
arrange.
Yeah, that seems like such a freaking, I don't know, media spin or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones that's so mysterious and cryptic that like you just told it and I'm like, yeah, I think I might have heard this before, but it's one of those ones where it's hard to know when you
Yeah.
don't know that much, so maybe different people cover it and they cover slightly different things because it's all you know, and or
Yeah.
like, and it's like we don't know enough about this one to know who freaking did it, but it seems like we should.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Um, they they
Damn.
do end up finding Cindy's body though. Um, so
Okay.
yeah, I do have a bit more, couple more
Oh,
pages, not
sorry. Yeah.
much.
Okay. Okay.
Um, yeah, so they find her body in the backyard of an abandoned home on June 8th, 1989. Um, it was found by a municipal paving worker because I think they were probably just working in the area. And yeah, it kind of brought an end to this like tragic 7 long years of like harassment and intimidation she had faced.
Mm.
um when she was found, she had a black nylon stocking wound securely around her neck, and her hands and ankles had been bound behind her back, leaving her in a hog-tied position. There was blackberry bushes that were covering her right leg, and her coat was found next to her. She was described as having been battered and severely injured by her attacker. Um, yeah. Weirdly, too, like either the killer did it or somebody may have found her body before the cops did and never notified anybody, because the area had lots of foot traffic and the property where her remains were found had graffiti on the external gasoline tank, like on the house. There was
Okay.
Yeah, there was this orange spray paint that had the message, "Some bitch died here." And then there was, yeah.
What the fuck?
Mm-hmm. And there was
Oh
also like an
God.
orange spray painted line from the fuel tank to where her body was found. Like, I don't know if it means in
Oh
the grass or
wow.
something. Yeah.
Oh, so it seemed like it was
It
deliberately
was
to do with
pointing
this.
to her. Yeah, like the
Oh,
line. Yeah.
wow. That's
Like
so fucked
the
up.
graffiti was on the gasoline tank, and then the gasoline tank had a line from it, I think, to the through the grass to her body. Like, so it's definitely
Wow.
to her.
Yeah.
Um
Wow.
yeah. They also, when they were like looking at the house, because it's abandoned, like people had done other graffiti and stuff there. There was a bunch of like devil themed graffiti found throughout the house. I don't
Okay.
know if they were kind of implying it was the same orange spray paint that had made this, or that was just something they noted. Don't really know. Uh, According to the pathologist, Cindy's hands had actually been bound so tightly that one of her fingers had scratched another down to the bone. Don't even know what that means. Like, yeah, I don't even know. I don't understand
I
what that means.
oh, it's hard to think about.
Yeah.
Like her finger scratched another finger down to the bone. I understand what that could physically mean, but how
But I don't
like
understand
that could
how you would
happen.
talk about like somebody being bound so tightly that one finger is scratching the other to the bone. Like, is one finger, I don't know. It's weird.
Was
Just
yeah,
a
or is that
weird description.
they were trying to get out and that was their only like
Maybe.
means of trying to yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's horrific
Um,
basically.
Her inner elbow also had a pinprick that was consistent with a hypodermic needle, and according to an entomologist, the body had already
Oh.
started to decompose when it was left at this location, which it could have been left there as early as June 2nd, and she wasn't found until I think the 8th, I said. Um,
Oh. Okay.
yeah. So I find that interesting because, according to the entomologist, the body had already started to decompose when it was left at that scene. So presumably she had been dead for at least like 24 hours before she was
Right.
put at that location,
Oh.
which kind of gets rid of she committed suicide, which is what the police rule, which is fucking
Yeah,
insane.
because most people get like commit suicide by hog tying themselves and
Fuck.
administering drugs or whatever the fuck exactly
Yeah.
happened in that last case. It just
Um,
does not make any sense and makes me
yeah.
very mad. Yeah.
Cindy's cause of death is determined to be multiple drug intoxication caused by
Oh,
significant
well, of
doses of.
course it would be because that can be attributed to her own fault, right? Sorry.
Yeah,
It
but
just
this is like a crazy amount of drugs. They
okay.
found doses of morphine, diazepam, flurazepam, some of which had been taken orally, which I added up in the different amounts they did over up to 100 individual pills she would have had to swallow to take all of those orally that she supposedly consumed. Over 100
Really?
pills. And she also was found to have 10 times the amount of morphine needed to kill a person in her blood. They could not determine how the morphine had been administered, but traces of it were found in her stomach. And although another doctor suggested that it may have been injected intravenously. So she may have been given like an IV of morphine, which is weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
So she was like injected with needle, like, because she had needle marks. So they know she was injected
Well,
with something, but then she also takes like 100 pills. Like, it's crazy.
none of her behavior was that of like an addicted person that needed to take
No.
needles. So
No, it doesn't seem that way.
none of that tracks, if you will. No, I
Yeah.
shouldn't. But yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. When you
Um,
go for that angle, I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
It said what they determined was that the overdose, they called it, was so huge that there was no realistic estimate for how long Cindy might have remained functional. Um, like
Okay.
until the drugs took effect, if she like
Right.
from swallowing them, whether or not she had done it herself. And that's what the authorities ultimately found. She likely slipped into unconsciousness within minutes and then died of an overdose like hours later, but would have remained unconscious for that entire time.
Oh my God. Like, just the
Um,
most injustice to me is if and when you necessarily die and they start like, oh, maybe it was an overdose, and like you're like, no, dude, like
yeah,
that was the fucking killers doing this to me, and you can't figure that out when I'm freaking sitting here hogtied. Like, oh,
yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
weird.
It just makes me so frustrated that it's like, I don't know. You could seemingly have an open and shut sort of case, it would seem. And you're like, if I die, you're not going to figure this shit out? Like, come on, dude.
Maybe, yeah.
Ugh.
Uh,
Sucks.
so as I kind of briefly mentioned, police had ruled Cindy's death as a suicide or an accident, which is crazy.
Mm,
They stated that they were unable to locate any proof that she had ever actually been the victim of a stalker, and authorities believed
okay.
she may have created many of the attacks herself, staging them and leading them to her eventual staged suicide. Police brought up her known history of depression and suicidal ideation, and the past like suicide attempt that she had denied was a suicide attempt. Um,
Okay.
what I find interesting is I didn't really see this mentioned anywhere else. I'd like to know, like, hopefully the police caught on to this too, but maybe they didn't because they think it's a suicide. But Cindy's private investigator, Caban, he had went to the morgue actually to look at her body, and he found lividity on her left side of her body, which is the settling of like your blood the first few hours after death. And
Right.
Caban believes that she may have been killed somewhere else, which is consistent with what the entomologist said, and then later moved to this location where she was found because she was actually found curled up on her right side. So it would be impossible for her to get lividity on her
Okay.
left side if she was found on her right side, which
Oh,
I find
yeah.
it interesting. He
That's,
pointed that out, and the entomologist is like, based on bug activity, she was likely decomposing before she was even moved here. I think it was like to do with like probably some stuff found in like the dirt and
excuse me.
everything under her. Maybe they could like figure out
Yeah.
how long she had been decomposing at that specific location.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah,
Still,
um,
yeah.
yeah. It did say that RCMP. This is kind of crazy. RCMP spent between $1 and $1.5 million during the 7 year period that Cindy was reporting her incidents. This was just like following up and reporting these cases and investigating these like incidents.
Wow.
1 to 1.5
Yeah.
million dollars. As far as I could tell, and what it said in the article was that Cindy James' case remains the most expensive case conducted by the BC RCMP, which is
I
insane.
mean, all right. Yeah.
Um, I
Although you guys got the Highway of Tears, you could work on that.
right.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Um, I do have some aftermath stuff, I guess, not a whole lot from what's
Okay.
happened. Um,
Okay.
June 14th, 1989, just 2 days after Cindy would have turned 45, a memorial service was held for her, and police ended up setting up cameras to monitor and videotape the guests and anyone who showed up. It was noted that Makepeace was not in attendance for her memorial service, but like clearly nothing happened because they still haven't like said anything. Nobody's ever been arrested or anything.
Yeah.
The abandoned home where Cindy was found was actually demolished in 1989. I think probably fairly soon after she was found there. Cindy's
Yeah.
family members publicly said that Cindy had been taken advantage of and killed, and they were working hard to try and keep the investigations open. By the spring of 1990, this was like that inquest I kind of mentioned before.
Okay.
So they had testimony from more than 80 witnesses, and a jury heard recordings that Makepeace had been able to get of some of these voicemails. Makepeace also accused Cindy's father of physically abusing her and claimed that one of Cindy's brothers had molested her. Makepeace also said that police were trying to frame him, and during the inquest it was revealed, this was a little weird, it was revealed that Cindy's parents found stashes of various pills at the home at the time of her death, but after they found them, they flushed them all down the toilet, so they couldn't like verify any of this. But these pills included several sedatives and antipsychotics that different psychiatrists had prescribed her.
Okay.
Like, yeah. In
Interesting.
Cindy's purse, which was found at the scene of the car, I believe, or maybe that was just her wallet. I'm not sure exactly where they found her purse. Presumably on her because she had just bought groceries.
Yeah.
They found a glass cutter, and then at the house, they found a medical syringe kit, a urinary catheter, and saline solution, which is a little strange. But I mean, she is a nurse. She is a nurse, so
Sure.
who knows?
Yeah.
But a little strange considering like she's complaining about needle marks all the time, and she does have a syringe, and you normally clear them with saline solution.
It was less specific than like vibrators and some lube, I guess.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so they find that stuff. The jury also ended up being shown a gruesome video of Cindy's decomposing body, like kind of I guess the body cam footage or the scene, because they're videotaping like as they arrive on scene. And they end up hearing multiple testimonies about her mental state leading up to in the days leading up to her death. Several psychologists and psychiatrists who treated Cindy over the years gave testimony. I didn't really keep their names in here, but one of them said that he suspected that she had borderline personality disorder with components of PTSD, as well as a tremendous amount of hate towards her father.
Who doesn't? No, just kidding. But yeah.
This psychiatrist or whoever he was, he also said that based on their meetings that there was a high chance that Cindy had been sexually molested by her father, even though she had never said this to him in her sessions or whatever.
Oh, really? That's not great. That's not the kind of thing you want to like speculate in that way about necessarily.
Yeah. Another one that treated her said that she had hysterical personality disorder.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
During the inquest, multiple attempts were made to try and determine if Sydney could have bound herself in the drugged condition she would have been in. A known expert even demonstrated in court how Cindy could have bound herself in 3 minutes or less, all before the drugs supposedly would have taken effect and she would have slipped into unconsciousness.
What?
Again, fairly bizarre. Yeah. Yeah, the last thing I have is just that in the end, the inquest ended May 25th, 1990, exactly 1 year from Cindy's disappearance. and they reached a deadlock. The jury couldn't determine one way or another, so the case was finally closed, saying that Cindy James had passed away due to an unknown occurrence. And it's sat that way ever since. It's just an unknown occurrence, which is awful. So fucked.
Yeah, what the hell?
Like,
not that I know what to make of that, but that still seems an unbefitting end.
Yeah. Like, this is such a crazy. I was reading it. I was like, either way, it's fucking insane. Like,
oh yes.
I can't imagine somebody going through this, like, and still being a functional human for 7 years.
Yeah.
Like, that's so fucked.
Yeah, I can't imagine people making up shit like this. I really can't. I think I remember hearing about it and being like, well, that's insane. Like,
yeah.
Why is this not totally locked down, whatever? It seems like it's still kind of open. It's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
All right, well, we'll be right back. All right. Well, welcome back to the shitty stalking crimes and make you want to kill yourself. No.
No, don't do that.
No. I mean, they're a little rough though, so definitely if you're sensitive to these kind of ones, like trigger warning, they're all kind of centered around bullying and all that unfortunate, really shitty stuff. Yeah. But this one, we're gonna try and highlight the lovely girl who the story should be about. Her name, for this case was Laurie Show. She's the star of the show. Laurie was born in January. She's a January baby. Yeah. January 27th, 75. Her name was Laurie Michelle Shaw, and she was described as pleasant and hardworking by most of her, accomplices and whatnot. Laurie and a guy called Lawrence Butch Youngkin had gone on a few dates when Laurie decided to break it off. So as
Laurie
you can
and
see,
Lawrence?
Yeah.
Sorry,
we'll call him by his nickname. Yeah, it is. But
okay.
Yeah, because they decided to break it off. It didn't last too long, and she told her mom, she told her mother that she had broken it off because he was very aggressive sexually, and saying that he had basically date raped her is what we would probably say today.
God, that's awful. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Everything I read is like that was the reason. I was like, oh, that's shitty. It's unfortunate. I don't know a lot of details about her early life or anything like that, but yeah.
Okay.
But at that time they broke it off, so Laurie and Lawrence Butch Youngkin, who we're just gonna call Butch, he begins dating Lisa Michelle Lambert, who was his previous girlfriend, and she was like, oh great, we're together again, but she continues to be so consumed by jealousy because Laurie had dated fucking Butch throughout the summer.
We were on a break.
So I tell you, this whole thing seems so petty. It just is like,
yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's so sad when you come to teenage heartbreak and shit, and then you're like, throw in some murder or whatever.
Yeah. Jeez.
Ugh. Yeah, so Lisa Marie Lambert was one who continues to be consumed by this jealousy and starts showing up at Laurie's job. But there is going to be some more names thrown in here. However, another friend of Lambert's, another person who has kind of a vendetta against Laurie, is Tabitha Buck. And she had had several altercations with Laurie, like at the mall, where she started randomly punching Laurie at the
Oh
mall, and
my
then one time was jumping
God.
out of a moving car to run at Laurie and that sort of shit. So she's like,
What the fuck?
I know, I wonder if those times are just the times when people are watching, because that seems to be when the bullies
Probably.
want all their shit to be noticed. Exactly. Um,
Wow.
yeah.
That's intense, jumping out of a moving car
A moving
to
car.
attack somebody. Wow.
A little bit. I know I don't have like more details, but it just seems like they were definitely, you know, targeting her.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So this Tabitha, who was jumping out of the cars and other altercations, she had a grudge against Laurie, for a seemingly a little bit of a different reason, or at least a different person. That's because Laurie was now dating her ex. So I
Oh
was like, I guess
God.
small town?
Maybe. Fuck.
Oh, sorry. Is she the pretty girl in town? And so now she's dated two boys that you guys have dated. You're all like really mad at her, and she can't
Yeah. Fuck.
dare continue to live a happy life on your earth. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, one of them she also broke up with because she didn't want to keep dating him. If
I
anything, you
was
should
like,
be like, why do you want him back? Clearly, he's a piece of
yeah,
shit.
it's honestly, it's very, yeah, confusing, like almost
Weird.
love triangle-y. I hate to say that because I don't think that Laurie wanted anything to be like
Yeah.
that, but like it seems like these other people have a hold up. And like, God
Wow.
forbid you date someone's ex, small town.
Yeah, somebody you're
Um,
not even friends with.
no, she's
Yeah.
friends with your whatever. She's enemies with your friend. Yeah, so
Yeah.
Tabitha and like Lambert, I think, are kind of, oh, we both hate Laurie because she's like dated our ex and whatnot. But
Weird.
also, Tabitha was also allegedly mad because Laurie had spread rumors about Tabitha's friend, but that was, unconfirmed by anything I could find. It's
Oh,
like,
okay.
it's
Maybe,
tough. It
maybe
feels
not.
right. High school rumors, it feels like you're dealing with. It's hard to, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. But Tabitha, who seemed to be like aptly named in this case, was the one who kept tabs literally on Laurie. She did, though. She knew when she caught the bus, which classes she had, when, and even like sort of more personal that like, things you could find out from school, but also when Laurie's mom got home every day and her like a literal
Uh,
emergency home contact and who her guidance counselor was and all that kind of stuff. Just like,
hmm. Yeah.
yeah, she's like really invading. Um, and some classmates seem to be aware of the tension between the girls. But all of them, I should say. I was just like mincing my words, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, it seemed like everybody knew there was like tension. Um,
Fucking
one sort,
high school. Like, just
yeah, 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 yeah.
wait until high school's over. None of you are gonna be together anymore. Fuck off.
You're not gonna care, yeah, right? Like right now, maybe you do, yeah, exactly. Uh,
God.
I think like one source said that Lambert had dropped out, but they all seem to run in the same circles, even if she might have been a couple years older than Laurie and actually Tabitha were. But again, yeah, it's all in the same kind of high school or whatever. And Tabitha had actually been overheard like saying that she wanted to scare then hurt then and or slit Laurie's throat. So like she wasn't shy about her
Okay.
animosity towards Laurie, this Tabitha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Making
Yeah.
verbal threats.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not great. I don't condone bullying in any form, of course. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah, all these cases are so bad. Yeah, basically December 20th, 1991, Laurie was found fatally wounded in her kitchen.
Oh,
Um
wow.
yeah, her mom had found her like she was still clinging to life. She had been brutally, savagely attacked and uh like had not much time to defend herself also, although she had some
Okay.
defensive wounds. Yeah. Um the following injuries, she had a 5-inch gash to the throat, a stab wound that punctured her lung, and another that grazed her spine. Um
Ew.
yeah, right? Like several wounds to the head and a number of defensive wounds. So I guess I don't think she had much warning in any case, although she had
Yeah.
a few defensive wounds. Yeah. The killers had apparently lured Laurie's mother, Hazel, to the school early that morning, believing that she needed to meet with her daughter's guidance counselor. So they like faked an appointment.
Okay. That's why they needed to know the name. It was like all premeditated.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna
Wow.
include that. I was like, okay, so Tabitha knows a lot about her, but then I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty important. It comes back to it. Yeah, it seems like
Yeah.
they very much lured the mother out of the house, pretending
Yeah.
that she
Wow.
needed to meet with the guidance counselor. Yeah, right? Isn't that pretty fucked up? Um, by the time her mom got back, just in time to see her daughter having been stabbed and whatnot, she heard her apparently just say her last heartbreaking words that she just said, like, Michelle did it and I love you.
Wow.
Yeah, most sources said that she at least said Michelle did it, and at least one source said that then she said I love you, but either way, it's just fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But
That's awful. I can't imagine like somebody's last moments like that.
yeah, and just wow, one of the most senseless of the senseless crimes. Like,
Yeah.
and a
Like
lot of
so
them are, and you don't know
ridiculous.
why. Yeah, this one's teenagers. Like, what are they doing? Like, do they even know what they're
Fucking
motivated by? Like, no.
no. Their brains aren't fully developed. They're fucked.
Yeah, let's all three of us like gang up on this one girl because why? Because we think we don't like her because she liked you and then you liked her and then like sometimes that's what it seems like it breaks down to and I just like can't stand it. I don't know.
Yeah. So
Um
stupid. Not
yeah.
unnecessary.
All right, I'll try and give some more context of what I could find, but um just hours later, the three suspects, Tabitha, Lawrence Butch, whatever the fuck, and Lisa Michelle Lambert, were arrested at the Garden Spot Bowling Center where they were hanging out.
Oh fuck. Bowling.
Bowling?
That's for losers.
I don't
They're
know,
just
right?
like, go
Just
commit
go
a murder.
home.
Now let's go bowl. Let's go eat some nachos at the bowling alley.
The greatest alibi ever.
Yeah, fuck.
um Now when they found them, Tabitha and Butch had like obvious scratch marks or things like that on
Hmm.
them, which was not great.
Yeah.
Um oh, but like anyway, from here on out it's basically a blame game. Lawrence Butch, whatever the fuck his last name is, I keep forgetting to write it down, but he tried to maintain he had only been the driver who was never in the house, didn't know anything other than they were going to probably scare Laurie and maybe prank her and like cut her hair off. That's what he
And
thought,
that what he was fine
apparently.
with. Sure.
He was totally cool with that. Yeah. The minute you guys just decided, gonna kill somebody, it's like,
You
oh
came out
no.
covered in blood, and I didn't immediately go like, I'm gonna tell the cops everything. You decide, hey, you guys want to go
Yeah,
bowling?
it's just gore, man. The hell. No, I know. Um, yeah, they said they were just planning to scare Laurie and cut her hair off, but eventually he did admit to being their alibi, agreeing to be their alibi, and helping dispose of the bloody clothing in the Susquehanna River. And just weeks later, when they were searching the actual house and found an earring belonging to Butch in Laurie's room, they knew that he was directly involved. They were like, you weren't just getting rid of these clothes and whatnot. Like, your earring was in her room.
Okay.
So, I don't know if the room was like the area of attack. It didn't really say, but ugh.
Yeah,
Whatever.
because I mean, if they had been dating, who's to say his earring hadn't been left there another time?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like, it just means that at some point while they were dating, even, he was in the room. But
Yeah,
I
everything
guess they
was
have
like
to prove, like, last
implying.
time he had the earring.
Yeah.
I guess it would have had to have been, like, after they were dating or something. I would hope.
Damn. I don't know, man. I don't know. It makes me a little creeped out because, yeah, it definitely is a little bit like we're assuming that this person is a normal person. No.
Yeah.
Ugh. They're just not. Okay, yeah. Found an earring. The police eventually discovered some cosmetic items in Tabitha's purse that, since they looked new, they inquired and double checked with Laurie's mom, who confirmed that they were actually from Laurie's purse. So they were like,
Okay.
yeah, we know you're involved. Just little
Hmm.
things.
You stabbed her and then you fucking robbed her.
I took her blush. Like, why? No. Yeah.
To remember her by. Ah.
Right.
Wow.
Sorry. Yeah. In 1992, the three trials, like they had three separate trials for the different
God.
defendants.
Okay.
I know it sucks because, okay, I'll go through what we have on them, but I don't want to get like the poor victim to get lost in all the details we have on the goddamn stupid perpetrators. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, yeah. Okay, Butch Youngkin was quick to turn on the other two defendants and testified against them in return for a lighter sentence. At Lambert's trial, she passed the blame to Buck, saying that Tabitha Buck stabbed Laurie. The defense also alleged that Laurie wrote TB, Buck's initials, in her own blood on the floor to identify her killer. So that was brought up as actual like, yeah, no, she wrote TB, and I was like, what?
Good for her. That's amazing.
Literal evidence. What the hell is happening here? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Wow. I love
It's
that kind of shit. It's like,
allegedly. Yeah. Lisa Michelle Lambert was convicted on the 20th of July, 1992, on charges of first-degree murder. She and Tabitha both pled guilty and got life in prison. They had pushed for the death penalty, but didn't get it initially. Or I should say ever, not initially. But it was just complicated because I don't know, just the court cases and whatever. But Lisa Michelle had been temporarily released on March 19th to have her baby, because remember she was actually like pregnant.
oh yeah.
I know I kind of forgot too, but yeah, like amidst all this, she is let out long enough to have her baby, who then she basically has to give to her parents, apparently, um, to raise them, which, you know, makes sense. She's in jail, but then Butch got a 1 year sentence, but later it was revealed he had lied on the stand, actually, which is perjury, so big no-no. And his deal was withdrawn, and he then got a reduced sentence of third-degree murder with a sentence of 10 to 20 years, and he went on to serve 12 and was paroled in 2004 on the third try. So he finally got out. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you think if you're pregnant with a child, your last thing would be like, let's go murder somebody. Like, you'd be thinking about your child.
Yeah.
Been like,
I
don't
would
wanna
hope so.
I'm probably
Yeah.
gonna get caught. Let's not go to prison. Let me raise my child and be a good person. Let me not murder this teenage girl.
Yeah.
Wow. It's so stupid. Can't even handle it. Like, teenagers!
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Third try. Okay. So I don't have too much, but I guess then. Did I say Tabitha Buck also tried to pass the blame at first, saying it was the other two, but then admitted to sitting on Laurie's legs to immobilize her during the attack.
Oh god. That's awful.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that, honestly. Ugh, she seems kind of shitty.
Yeah.
Tabitha's defense team tried to get her tried as a juvenile, as she was under 18 at the time of the attack, whereas the others had been, I believe, 19 and 20. Although it was a little, you know, with the reporting or whatever, depending what article you read when. But the other two, I think, were overage. So they sort of compromised by taking like the death penalty off the table for Tabitha. And then in August of 1992, her trial was moved to Easton, Lehigh County. Lehigh County? I don't know. Due to like her high visibility of her case. And then she eventually got second-degree murder after 3 hours of deliberation.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I mean, even when you're 18, you know you're not supposed to murder people.
You should! My
So,
goddamn
like,
16-year-old should fucking know a few fucking things. Although sometimes we're like, wait, what the hell? You don't get this reference? But yeah! Like, the moral compass should be there.
yeah, I feel like you shouldn't be able to argue underage at like 18
Mm.
years old.
I
Like,
know! That's why it's
yeah,
like, why would it make, like, why does it make a difference for one person to be 2 years younger
yeah,
than the other when you both charge
yeah,
them with the same thing or whatever it happens to be? Yeah, it seems
yeah.
so arbitrary. Yeah.
Like if you were talking about maybe like 16-year-olds that maybe had a 14-year-old kill somebody or be involved, then yeah. But
Yeah.
not when like the youngest person's 18. Like you're a fucking adult in Canada. Like get the fuck out. Like it's so
Yeah.
ridiculous. You can
Yeah,
vote, you can
seems
join the
like a
military.
technicality. Yes,
Garbage.
that's true.
Like,
Exactly.
oh, you're an adult. I almost said you're a human.
You're It's so true though. People read stuff to like, we have to what? If we leave that out in Europe or whatever. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
uh,
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh my god.
I know.
That was so senseless.
Shit be crazy, y'all. I don't know why we cover true crime. It's the hardest. No. But yeah, I think it was crazy. Did I finish it? I think that was basically all I got. Poor Laurie. You try to make it about the poor victim, and then her mother had come out at one hearing to express some sentiments. Where she said, Laurie died a horrible life for reasons I will never understand. And then she asked, because it was Tabitha Buck who was on trial, said, why did you agree to come to our house that morning? Just like, it's so hard because it's rough because she didn't do anything. But people, like, when asked by the president judge about the crime, Buck said she can't imagine how Laurie's and her own families feel about the resentencing, but said nothing about the crime itself.
No. At least own up to it. Like, oh my god, people.
I know. At
least be like, fine, I did it.
Yeah, just say it.
Don't they know the coolest people, the like serial killers and all these people that people love or whatever, always like, yeah, I did it.
You're gonna be more famous.
Yeah.
No, I don't have much left to say about these stupid people except for a few.
These stupid people.
I do. I don't like them. What's her face is out on
What's
she's
her
out
face?
on Laurie? No. Because she was the one that had the crime perpetrated.
Yeah.
I had Laurie. She's out on her own conditions of her release now, including being banned from living in Lancaster County, and she must take her psych meds. Oh, sorry, that was about Tabitha Buck.
Okay.
One of the ones who was convicted of assaulting Laurie. I'm sorry. Like, what I failed to say was Buck testified Monday for about 15 minutes. When asked by the president judge about the crime, Buck said she can't imagine how Laurie's and her own families feel about the resentencing, but said nothing about the crime. Yeah, I didn't have much. She's out on the conditions of her release now, so 2 of the 3 are out on release of the 3 killers. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know. Isn't it though? Tabitha Buck is allowed to be released, but she's banned from living in Lancaster County, and she must take her psych meds on this condition.
Yeah.
Yay! Take your psych meds, people. Right? Also, Lisa Marie Lambert apparently has a tell-all book out now that's called Love, Murder, and Corruption in Lancaster County, My Story, which was co-authored by Philadelphia attorney David Brown. Do you love that?
No, all I can say is, ugh. You were, what, 20? 19? Nobody wants to read your fucking book.
Nobody wants it.
My life of corruption.
I've never seen this book ever anywhere. You're right. I don't know.
Like, you're some crazy criminal. Like, you stabbed one person. Okay? Another teenage girl.
Who do you think you are? Freaking Jersey Shore. No. But so much that you can find about her stupid killers. I hate to minimalize, but like hundreds of people lined up to attend Laurie's actual funeral, which was just like,
oh, that's nice.
Amazing. Yeah. And then, I just learned she was buried at Bridgeville Evangelical Congregational Cemetery in Narbonne, Pennsylvania. But that is the case of the death of Laurie Show, unfortunately.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes me so sad. It's like just so stupid. Like, it's
so senseless, right?
So stupid.
I'm sure we all feel that way listening to true crime sometimes. We're like,
Yeah.
what did this happen? Yeah. It's so crazy. But thank you for listening. I smushed it in.
Yes.
We smushed all our stuff in. Pretty good.
Yeah, we did good. I think mine was just over an hour and a half, so this will be like just over 2 hours, probably. Yay! A regular length.
I know. We'll just splice it, and I think we're all good to go.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. And what did we say we're doing next time? I already forgot.
Well, I think we... Okay. This was Stalker Crimes. Then we were going to do... Okay, I've written Mysteries of the World because it was a little bit more open.
Yes.
Just
whatever.
A little bit before we do it. Yeah. Unexplained. And then we're going to focus maybe a little bit more on a place after that. So that should be cute too. Fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what, the episode after this will be our Patreon, so stick around. We're doing our cryptid showdown. We're gonna catch some cryptids. We're gonna put them in a little cage and make them fight.
Yes, don't let me forget, you're so right.
It's like cockfights, but cryptid fight.
Pokemon. No, it's Pokemon. No. Yeah, no, it's awesome though. I can't wait. That should be fun.
It'll be ridiculous. Maybe we'll just get drunk and then it'll be even funner. It'll be unintelligible gibberish and then we'll just be like, woo, post it. Unedited.
I know. I'm like, shit, wait, we have to talk about who now?
Yeah. So, if you're interested in hearing that, join our Patreon and you can unlock a bunch of our bonus episodes. We do like one a month normally, and then we have mini-sodes and videos, and yeah, it's fun.
The stuff that we have to keep behind the paywall.
Yeah.
It's just too juicy. Yeah. Oh no, so much fun. All right. We'll catch you next week.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This has been Castles and Cryptids. You can listen to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Anchor, Breaker, Pocket Cast, and our YouTube channel. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Reddit. On our website, you can listen to all of our episodes as well as view pictures for each of our segments. Check out our Patreon page to view all of our tiers and become a Patreon supporter today to unlock monthly bonus episodes and behind-the-scenes content. We are working on an Ask Us Anything. You can submit questions by social media or by email at castlesandcryptids@gmail.com. Do you have a spooky ghost story, a creepy cryptid sighting, or a thrilling true crime tale you would like to share and have us include in a future episode? Send us your listener story by social media or by email. Please include the name that you would like mentioned. Our music is by Kobe Fair. Our logo and artwork is by Antonio Garcia. Thanks for listening.